So I said to them, if Jabu is playing, I'm not playing. Imagine if Chiefs did everything right to look after Jabu as a total human being. They would have had him for 10 years. Oh, the same way that you, you have him for 15, 20 years. But the attitude of football is, we'll make another one.
Awuthukhethe ibhokisi kuvele phuma uOverking noHappy Jele bavula isikhwama esikhulu bakhipha isikhwama esincane bavala isikhwama esikhulu bavula isikhwama esincane bakhipha iDiski Dine bakhipha amaguest kanokusho wozobona wozobuka wozobona wozobuka wozobona wozobuka ayizodlala iDiski Dine.
When I look at kids today, nothing much has changed.
Really?
Today you find, okay, clubs understand they're taking, professional clubs are taking goalkeeping a little serious, not really.
Sure.
And then first team, and then academies would have. But when you look at kids in the townships, you look at kids in the there's still no proper goalkeeper training.
Sure.
And so I looked at it, I'm like, okay, if we are to have proper goalkeeper training for kids at that level, so by the time kids are 15, 16,
It's too late.
when they get to academies, so most kids, I'll give you an example, Oscarin Masuluk, when I was at Chiefs, 2017, he came on trial.
Okay.
When I trained him, he said to me, this is the first time I'm getting goalkeeper coaching.
No ways. No ways.
Serious. He said, this is the first time I'm getting. So I looked at him, we trained. He stayed with us 3 months. After 2 months, I said to Chiefs, I said to Bobby and Steve, sign him. Bahana. And they never understood. And I said to them, you see, this guy has never had goalkeeper training, but what he has, he's got presence. He's got he's quite big, he's got a big heart. So those are some of the things that you can overlook over technique.
Sure.
Especially for a big club. And I said to them, you look at Bruce. Bruce has gotten the best training that any kid can ever get.
Because he started in the juniors.
Yeah, he started in the juniors with proper training, but he doesn't have a big heart. He doesn't have the presence. He doesn't have, for Pirates and Chiefs, for me, when I look at a goalkeeper with talent and technique and stuff, I would overlook them over a goalkeeper that has raw talent, because to play for Chiefs, if you look at Bruce Ikwala.
That's kind of funny because I played with Bruce. I played with Bruce in juniors at Vets, just before he made the move to DDC at Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I remember a day I was on the bench, he was playing, I was his deputy. And my father was like to me after the game, he was like, that boy is gonna make it. Because he had so much heart. He was.
But it's not the same.
He had so much heart.
When you are there.
So the difference is when you play for Chiefs, you can play for juniors, no? And be the best talent. When I Pirates, when you step on the field, even if you're not playing Chiefs,
Sure.
at all, and even if you're just playing Marumo Gallants, you make one mistake there. The people that love you,
Sure.
and you can hear. So those are the things that people don't understand.
Yeah.
That you see a player, Mario Perez, different.
Sure.
It's a different beast.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Now the food is here on the table.
Yo.
The food is here on the table. What did you order, Brian? Spider-Man.
It was the time to see food. Chicken one.
As much as Mozambique is about the prawns and stuff, my favorite is chicken.
Chicken is your favorite.
Chicken, yeah, well, they know. Yeah, so they know the pioneer.
All right. No, the food is on the table. Let's kickstart the episode. I know we've been having a chat and the cameras have been rolling. Welcome to iDiski Dine. It's another edition of your favorite football podcast. And as you've heard, the conversations on the table already are flowing. The drinks on the table, the food is here, and we're breaking bread with the stars. And once again, we've got a player that has played in a position that I played during my playing days. I know you might think, but Opie, where did you play? Hey, Baba, I had my playing days as well. Brian Baloyi is joining us today. You might know him as Spider, you might know him as Spider-Man, and you might know him as your mom's favorite crush back in the day. You know, he's here joining us. And Skipper, thank you so much once again. We're right here. You've brought this legend onto the table.
Yeah.
And what is the reason for us having him here today?
Hey, fit. First of all, we share one person who was my manager as well. Mara lo muntu lo ngathi yangilandela nala ngikhona futhi manje naye ukhona like or mina ngilandela yena ngazi but one of the legends in the game, Mr. Brian Spider Baloyi, thank you for coming with iDiski Dine. As you know, we're gonna share some stories and and guys, don't forget, keep on liking, keep on commenting. You are the people that push us each and every day, Bafit.
Yeah.
But namuhla simlethele legend iDiski Dine Bafethu. And thank you very much for Mozambique ukuthi baswelcome ukuthi sisebenzise indawo yabo.
Yeah.
Sibe mnandi, siyagawula manje nazi ukudla kwethu kumnandi. Sure Bafethu.
I want to start with the relationship between you two, because you are telling me you guys have a great relationship and all of that. But in the middle of this relationship, there's a guy called Welthamo Kwena.
Yeah.
Right? I know Brian had a magazine called Soccer Life back in the day.
Geez.
And you were still a player at that time. You were still a player at that time.
Yeah.
How did all of that come about? In Mozambique, by the beach. Sometime there was. I remember there was a picture like that. Yeah. I remember there was a picture like that. Tell us about that time and Welthamo Kwena and how you actually ended up meeting Happy.
Jeez, you're taking me back, man. With Soccer Life, I mean, I remember we had been friends with Walter, for long, going back to, Walter, when he came before he even went to TV, he was, in the newspapers, as a writer, and then with Kickoff. And the first person that in 2004, 4, yeah. And I was still at Chiefs at the time.
Sure.
And he knows Walter is bald, and he doesn't.
He doesn't hide anything.
Yeah. So he said to me, hey, so we have this idea, we have the magazine, we're partners, we need an investor. I said, okay. He said, there's this guy called Petrus Mutsepe. I said, who? So I said, who's this? And he showed me, and he said, no, let's go to this guy.
Sure.
I said, no, and I said, this guy just, bought Sundowns. He says, no, but we want business. This guy's got money. We want his money.
Sure.
I said, no, go. So we had a meeting and he said, okay, go. So he went by himself.
Okay.
And then Petrus put us onto a guy called Connie Mulusi.
Okay.
Connie Mulusi was with a company called Jonic Publishing. So Jonic owned Sunday Times, all of these, newspapers and magazines. And he's a businessman at the time. So Jonic Publishing was the main shareholder of all these, most of the biggest newspapers. And so we went to them. And so when we had that meeting, then I could go then, So we went and...
because the initial meeting with Petrus would have seemed like you want to join Sundowns.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
And then we managed to get a deal with Jonic Publishing, where at the time they said, luckily they had just bought the rights to 442 in the UK.
Sure.
That's how then the magazine got to be Soccer Life 442. Okay. Because then they had the rights to 442, and at the time they were looking at how to bring 442 into South Africa, and because most people didn't really know about it. The biggest magazine was and has always been Kickoff, and at the time we were looking at you need 2, 3, 4 different magazines to really to challenge kickoff and to give people proper stories. So so that's how I got involved with Jonik and with Soccer Life over 2. And so from then on, Walter had Walter Stars, all of these things.
Yeah.
Then he was an agent. Then I got introduced to all his talent, and but Nepi has always been one. I can safely say he's one of the youngsters that
took it.
Always not only take, but they always come up to you and ask for advice, and and you get a sense of that the respect you get from him from his. You get your relationship, then transcends from just being Grootman, but he's a brother.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Happy, but being around such individuals at an early stage of your career, how did that help shape the player that you eventually wanted to become? As you've become a player that has over 400 appearances for London Pirates, captained the team as well. How did meeting individuals like Brian at an early stage really shape your career as well?
I think when I was lucky. Let me say I was the luckiest person when I started my career at the early age.
Sure.
Walter Mkwena had a lot of friends. I would say a lot of friends or a lot of brothers, that are in the game. So when we came to his house, he will try and invite one of the players that is currently playing. Because in football it's not easy, bro. I'm telling you, there's a lot of sacrifice that they do, but sometimes they don't tell us what's their problems and what. But just to share knowledge, and get good wisdom, words from that, it's very important. And for me, I think somehow, it's one of the people that put 1% in my life to be the person that I am today.
Sure.
And it never ends there. The more we meet up, we will always chat about something, and because I want to learn more and more and more. And until now, we still, if I want something, I will say, hey, man, I'm going through this situation. Give me your advice. I remember when I left Pirates, I called, because I had some meetings with the chairman. We had a chat, and he told me what's happening, what he went through before he went out in the game, how he left Kaizer Chiefs as well, So I get to understand. Then I put that thing to my life. What I'm going through, is it similar or not similar?
Sure.
And I had to make a decision at the end of the day.
Sure.
And you've helped me. You've helped me so much in this game.
It's showing appreciation, bro.
And for me, listening to him, I'm always saying, I think what I've always been mindful of is that we are human beings before we are footballers. Before you judge a footballer if he's making mistakes or whatever, with his life, personal, I'm saying you have to when you understand that a big chunk of footballers come from townships, they come from rural communities, so they come from disadvantaged background.
Yeah.
And so I always say, footballers are not different from umuntu obambiloto. Because Spanela, Echakasi, yes, this person, they understand imali, there's millions, but they can't comprehend.
Sure.
So now, Lumut Magawin 30 million. It doesn't
Everything
matter.
changes.
Yes, and money is energy. It's gonna change you. Even if
Sure. It'll change.
It'll change.
Sure.
So I think we've got a long way to go, as in how to make footballers' lives better.
Sure.
And because right now what we know is that the clubs themselves, as much as they say they're doing, their bit, but I believe they're not doing enough. And for me, I always say to people, imagine, look at Jabu Pule. Jabu played for Chiefs for what, 4 years?
Yeah. Then when he was seized.
And then, a couple of years for Pirates, there. But people know him Chiefs. So only 4 years. And I always say, imagine if Chiefs did everything right to look after Jabu. It's a total human being. They would have had him for 10 years. Or the same way that you, you have him for 15, 20 years. But the attitude of football is, we'll make another one.
Sure. We'll replace you.
Yeah.
Everyone is replaceable.
Now,
Yeah, so that's the attitude. Let me give you a story about Jabu. There's times, I remember we were talking the other day about when he disappeared.
Sure.
When he disappeared the first time, and then we lost the league. The next season, then he disappears again. So when he disappears again, with Mbutu and Isaac Mabut, so he comes back. When he comes back, then there's a meeting with all the players. Team meeting with all the players and the chairman. So the chairman and the coach. The chairman says, "Okay, Jabu is back. We spoke to him. So I'm the captain. So I speak to Tabu and Mabedi. I say to them, let's ask the chairman and the coach to
go
to
out.
excuse us.
Yeah, sure. Only players meeting.
Yeah, so a players meeting. So we said to Jabu, okay, what's your problem? Says, no, I spoke to the chairman. Says, no. So I said to him, no, you're not playing with the chairman, you're playing with us.
Yeah.
So tell us your problem so we can help you. Says, no. I spoke to the chairman. I said to the guys, so if you're not telling us, Guti, what is your problem? So your apology, I'm not taking it.
Sure.
And so at that time, Megan says, okay. Then I said, okay. So everyone else said, okay. So I call the chairman back and the coach machine. So I said to them, if Jabu is playing, I'm not playing.
Sure.
They thought I was joking. Yeah, I said, if Jabu is playing, I'm not playing. So the coach said, no, man, we can talk about this. I said, no. And so Tabo followed. So Tabo said, if Spider is not playing, I'm not playing.
So everyone is...
so about 4 or 5 senior players followed me. Said, no. So coach called us, had a meeting with us. We said, no. I said to them, he's not going to change because he comes back, he apologizes, we say it's okay.
And he's playing again.
Then he's going to go again.
Yeah.
Then the coach, it was a Wednesday, the weekend coach, the night before he calls us in his room. He says, no, man. I said, no, he can be on the bench if you want.
Sure.
But
he mustn't play.
If you put him on, please take me out.
Yeah.
Sure.
When you're not sure of yourself, and when you're not sure of your talent, then you can't stand up like this because you're scared. Okay, they're not going to play me. So for me, is you sure of your talent.
Sure of yourself, yeah.
I think honest is in the generation that is alive, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before we used to tell you, lento le wrong fit.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But now those balls are
Bad.
because they are sour because you think someone is earning more than we now. You know, this one is driving an expensive car when you're driving a small car.
Sure.
So yeah, we are manje ukuthi
Good, yeah.
ukuthi ngikhuluma kanjani no Spider ngikhuluma kanjani
You know, I'm interested, Spider, in here because I'm now finding out for the first time how really the dressing room felt about the misdemeanors of Jabu Pule in that day. And now the question comes because I've only heard it from fans that Jabu got blind, that they had to find him, and he came in at half time. No, I'd seen Jabu Pule play, but the Jabu Pule that I remember seeing was Jabu Pule at Super Sport, Jabu Pule, my understanding of football. Yeah, when I understood what football was. I mean, I'd seen him, you know, but understanding football was his Super Sport days, his Pirates days. So I'm trying to figure how you guys felt when this man comes from wherever he comes from. At halftime, he arrives by Amfag. What was the sentiment that you guys were feeling at the time as a team?
Do you camp by that time?
Yeah, this camp. No. That story is a lie. There's nowhere where he was never there, and then they brought him in as an halftime Bamfag.
Okay.
But he was like, legit, real talent, and so with Jabu, where I wanted to go with the story as well, it was that. So later on, remember after he retired, when he started being at Super Sport, I bumped into him, we had a chat, and he cried. He said to me, you know what, Khotman, you're one of the only people that were true to me and wangitshela iqiniso. And I appreciate, because manje, I have a family, you know, and neingosi, and I understand responsibility. And I see what you were doing that time. At that time, I thought you were too young, but I understand.
Sure.
But let me tell you, Jabu came to Chiefs as a 11, 12-year-old. So where I believe football doesn't take responsibility is, I mean, today, if you have a 12-year-old, if you take your child to an academy, it doesn't matter which one. But you are now taking parental responsibility and handing them over
To the team.
to these people that are now taking your child. So him turning out to be what he became, it's not only because of how he was brought up, but it's largely again how, when he came to you, to the time he turned professional, the contribution that you did to him, to his personality, to him as a person. So for me, that's where clubs like Chiefs don't want to take responsibility. You look at Lerato Chabang. Lerato went to Tax. You know, as a young man. Yes, coming from Tembiza. So again, when you get someone that comes from an environment, I mean, Jabu will tell you, I started drinking beer with my dad when I was 11. Jabu, yeah.
Jabu.
Yeah. Talk to him, he'll tell you. He said, mina bengiphuza ingudu ne-timer, ngina 11, 12.
Sure. It's a product of his environment.
So again, football, so what we need to do is we need to do proper research and understand the person, not just the footballer. Because what we do is we just want to extract the talent, but not so much about the person. So if someone was like telling you now, he was drinking beer with his dad. So when he's 16 or 17, who are you to come and tell him, ungaphuzi?
And I was going to stop because Lendo Sekaitrayel.
Yeah. The story about coming in halftime and all that was happening at development. With Farouk Khan and them. They will tell you, the boys that played with him at development would tell you, they would play on a Saturday. On a Friday, he would disappear. On a Friday night. And on the Saturday, he would come. Anugutwala. Put him on the bench. The Bamfag, he scores 3 goals. He's the man of the match.
All is forgotten.
Yeah. I think football needs to relook at the model of, with the academies, of putting these kids.
Overseas, they do that often.
Yeah, they do it.
If we have figured out, we sign a contract, instead of putting you in the development structure, they just do Khalistan and family over right.
Yeah.
I'd always said that since, you know, the retirement of, or rather, the latter stages of Kune's career, the retirement of Bonip Josephs and all of that, there hasn't been a lot of competition at the top of Bafana goalkeeping. And one of the things I'd mentioned was maybe we should try that model that they're using out in Egypt, you know, where the top 3 divisions, only Egyptian goalkeepers. I don't know what your point of view is currently on South African goalkeeping and how we can actually improve it at this point where it's at.
It's about the country first. And at that time, Egypt looked at the problem they had and said, okay, here's a way of solving it, and then took the decision and stick to it. Till today, it's working. You look at us as South Africa, there's two positions that for many years we struggle with. It's strikers and goalkeeper.
Sure.
Striker, we've had this problem for many years.
Yeah.
And if you look in the 90s until the late 2000s, if you look at some of our best imports as South Africa, it's always been strikers.
Sure.
Our best players that have played overseas, it's strikers and defenders. Strikers for many years, if I had to count, I would count like more than 10 legends that's played overseas. You know, starting from the famous singers, Sean Bartlett, Sebonga Nemved, Trompis, Jerry Skosana, Fontaine, Ntleko, you know. So I go on and on, Zuma.
Sure.
So over those years, then the problem was that, okay, our best strikers went overseas, then we have a void here. Then we bring in foreign strikers. At some stage, we used to bring in some of the great Zimbabwean imports. But then we got to a point where we started taking just anything. But if you look at history, Zimbabwe and Zambian strikers that we've had in the country.
James Chamanga.
Dennis Slaughter, Mshangazike, you know,
Benjamin
the twins, the Mugabe twins.
Yeah, Mugabe twins.
So, but today, I think we need to go back to our roots and look at and those and players from those countries. It's easy for them to adjust and acclimatize here in South Africa as well. The youngest goalkeeper in the PSL, South African, is 25 years old.
And he's not a first choice.
Yeah. So the province that produces goalkeepers for many years for South Africa is Cape Town.
Monip, Sean Roberts. Who else can we count from there?
What's his name? Emil Baron, Andre. So if you look at if you historically look at Bafana goalkeepers, if you had to look at top 10 Bafana goalkeepers, close to maybe more than 5 of them will be from Cape Town. Okay. There's more, man. What's his name from? We used to play for Ajax. Played him with him at Sundowns.
Calvin Mullen.
You know, Popeye now. So and why? Because for many years, only Cape Town has a goalkeeper academy till today.
Okay.
There's a guy called Farouk Abramson.
Okay.
At some point, he's been a national team goalkeeper coach. But all of these people we're talking about, they come from his academy.
Sure.
So they started when they were young.
When they were young. And how old were you when you got your first goalkeeper training session?
About 16. From Gary Bailey and Brian Perry.
Sure. A lot of people don't know Gary Bailey is one of the few players to have played for both Man United and Kaizer Chiefs.
And Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah.
2 teams.
You know, yeah, and a lot of people, I think, until I think today a lot of youngsters don't know that Gary Bailey is a South African.
Yeah, it's English.
That played for Man U, and at that time Man U at the highest level, and in the 80s. But at that time, my favorite goalkeeper was Bruce Grobler.
The Zimbabwean.
Yeah,
Bruce Grobler. Also, you played for Liverpool, so you're Liverpool fan.
Used to be.
You changed.
I changed, but I won't say where. But I
right.
changed. I changed, yeah.
Shouldn't have minded you change it. Now, South Africa, which team you support?
No, now I'm not confused. I always say to people, so the person that always tries to expose me is Jerry Skosan.
Sure.
So every time when we're together doing interviews, he always brings out, or when we are in a crowd with people, we always make sure that he tells people that I'm a Pirates supporter.
Oh.
And I don't deny it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we're Alex.
No, but I explain it that the reason I support Pirates is my uncle played for Pirates.
Okay.
My uncle was a Pirates captain, Phil Johnson said.
Okay.
Oh.
So Phil Johnson said is my uncle. May his soul rest in peace. And so growing up, my whole family supported Pirates.
Sure.
And so this is what I say to people. So I love Chiefs.
Okay.
I support Pirates.
Okay. Okay.
Man.
So if they were to play, who should win?
Now he has confused yourself.
If they were to play, who do you support?
So
Hamba na Bahamba?
no. So when you understand.
It's a derby.
Utando nokusupporta.
Okay, it's a derby.
It's a derby.
Who do you go for?
Huh?
Celebrate.
Okay. No, ngifuna ukwenza simple ukuthi we understand.
That was as simple as it gets, Brian. That's as simple as it gets.
No.
It's a derby. Who do you support?
Who you support? Hamba na Babs.
It's not even a question. How you ask that question? Mtandabani.
Oh, but you're not supporting the ones you love.
No, but Mtandabani.
You love Chiefs.
Yes.
You love Chiefs.
But you support Pirates.
So something that you love, there's no utando. There's no.
So Utano ne like. Utano ne like.
Brian.
The last Utano. So ngapa last ngapa Utano. So hamba no Utano.
No time.
No, you're
No,
the
no,
problem. One of the problems in SA football is this. You can't choose who you support.
No.
No, I'm not saying it's only the answer. I'm going to last, no love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's break the ice a bit, right? Let's break the ice a bit. We've got some pictures here. This game is called Share the Story Behind the Picture. We've got a couple of pictures here that we've picked out from your gallery. And all we need is for you to flip each picture up and just share a bit of the story behind what was going on at that time and what this picture represents in your life at this present moment. So, in any particular order, flip the pictures.
Oh. Okay.
History Stoichkov.
Yeah, so this was my coach at Sundowns. So this picture here, this is in Russia,
Sure.
2018 at the World Cup. So I'm at the World Cup. Okay, before okay. I mean, let me tell you about Stoichkov.
Sure.
And the year I spent with him at Sundowns. I think one of the best coaches I've ever had. And the misconception and the people not understanding coaching and managing. So, and at the time when he was fired, we were second on the lock. And with goal difference. And we were left with less than 10 games. I don't remember how many. And so people at Sundowns in management were fighting with him. So at that time, Mr. Mutsepe was listening a lot to management and in making decisions. So most of them didn't want him. So they got him fired.
So it wasn't necessarily the players.
No, players, we loved him, especially senior players. I had a very good relationship with him, and because I was one of the captains. And after the games, after playing, the senior players, the day after the game, we did not train. Yeah, but all the youngsters would train. We would say, no, you guys, you need more time to recover. But a lot of stuff that we did with him. We went hunting with him. But like I said, management didn't want him, so they got him fired. But the biggest mistake that his assistant did, Habas
Lopez
and Miguel, so they convinced them. So the model he had was the one that Pizzo does, where he goes with his team. So they stepped him in the back.
When you say he goes with his team, what do you mean?
And then they come back. The next season they came back to coach without him.
You mean he goes with his technical team?
He goes with his technical team.
Yes,
so when they fired,
sure.
they went left with him, but there was a few games left.
Okay.
So they convinced this guy, when the season starts, you guys are taking over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Sure.
Yeah. But here so I'm walking in a shopping center. I'm going up escalators. I'm going down escalators. This guy is going up. He was the one who saw me. I didn't see him. He screamed, "Hey, Baloyi, Baloyi!" I'm like, damn, jeez. And the guys I was with some youngsters that were, playing a five-a-side tournament.
Okay.
These guys that play for Pirates Fives.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they had won a tournament here to go play that side. So I was with them. And yeah, so that's how we took this picture with Hristo Stoichkov, passed to him at the World Cup.
Sure.
And
do you think a lot of the players that you played with understood who this man really was and what he had achieved in world football?
Yeah, jeez. And
this guy
there was a boy from Mozambique that we signed that went to Spain. Remember Robert Ngalande?
Yes, Robert Ngalande, yes.
That boy was about 16 at the time. This guy promoted that boy to the first team. That guy used to take.
And there was a lot of youngsters in Sundowns.
Vuyo, all of them, Vuyo Mieres and them. Vuyo will tell you about this guy. But I think the biggest thing with him was that management and everyone didn't understand was they said to the president, this guy is not coaching, the coach is Habas.
The assistants.
Because what this guy did, in the morning they come meeting, then from there when they come on the field, this guy does nothing.
Sure.
Oh, so you work in the international, like...
Yeah, so the assistant coach, everyone is the ones that are...
the assistant is the one run the station.
So he would just do nothing, walk around, look at... And then when we did goalkeeper training, free kicks, he'd come.
He'd come and shoot.
That left foot.
Ballon d'Or winning left foot.
Top corner.
Sure.
They got shy. So the guy said to president, no, this guy is not coaching. The coach is that one.
Sure.
But this guy, so in the dressing room, team talk, he was never talking about tactics and all of this. He was a motivator.
Okay.
So he would come and just motivate us and then walk away. And then the guys would do tactics and all of that.
Sure.
Even halftime, team talk, he was more on motivation. And, I listened to one of Coach Pizzo's interviews that he did with Tato Moe. And it was where he was talking about his philosophy and he's talking about him as a coach, his style of coaching. And that what he's big on is understanding the person.
Sure.
Understanding, he coaches the person more than, he says talent, everyone has talent. So at professional level, he's now not coaching technique, tactics. he needs to understand the person and how to bring the best out of the person.
Sure.
And that's what this guy was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. History Stoichkov.
Yeah.
Next picture.
Nah.
We can put this one here.
Yeah. Oh, this. This one here. So this one here was.
AFCON,
no. This was when we had just qualified for the World Cup.
98.
FNB 98. That Doc interception, Phil. That
Sure. The long range, the iconic Phil Masinga goal.
Phil Masinga goal. Yeah.
Sure.
So this was after qualifying for the World Cup 98. So this was 97. Yeah.
This was a happy dressing room at that time.
This was extremely happy.
Of course, Clive Park.
Yeah, so here, this was, I had just been introduced into the team. Myself, it was myself, Benny, Quintin. There was about 4 or 5 of us that were being slowly introduced into by Clive into the national team. I think soon after after qualifying, we played the Mandela Cup, the friendly against Dutch against Holland, and that's when I got my debut. Yeah.
How do you feel about? In fact, we'll chat a bit about your Bafana career a bit later on. Yeah, we'll chat about it a bit later on. We want to get into the next picture before we get to.
Oh my gosh! Jeez.
Wedding.
This is my wedding day, 2001.
Sure. How old were you at the time?
3rd of March. 3rd of March.
Madoda wathi abakhumbula ama-anniversary.
This man remembers
That of March.
Yeah, man. Just
a big day in your life.
Big day, man. I was about to turn, so I was about 13 days before my birthday here. So I was, what was I here? 21, so I was 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite
So
young.
did it help you to get married at a young age?
Yeah, a lot. A lot. But I'll tell you a story about this.
Sure.
And what I did. So so for me, I mean, in life, you learn from situations and things. So how I got signed with the first team, with Chiefs, was there was a goalkeeper. His name was who was the first choice. Wade Duplessis.
Okay.
So Wade Duplessis, he stayed at Chiefs about 2-3 seasons, and so at that time, so he had it in his contract that when he gets married, it doesn't matter who we play. So he's got this date, and he's going. So he had it in his contract that when he gets married, he's going.
Leaving. He's going as in he's leaving football.
No,
or he's leaving
he's
the club?
going. He's going to get married. If on that day the club is playing, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
He's not.
He wants to go. Yeah,
he wants
sure.
to go.
He doesn't want to do Jomoson. He doesn't want to do Jomoson.
Unfortunately, he got married in Durban, and we were playing here at George Cough. But that was my opportunity to get signed.
Okay.
Because at that time, I had been training with the first team as a 3rd choice.
Okay.
And he was the first choice. Second choice was William Shongwe.
William Shaw, yeah.
Okay. Something about William Shongwe's fingers. His fingers.
That time.
Potende came in 92.
92.
Yeah. So Potende came in. So that season, my pen, that 92 where I got signed, Wade Wahamba. So that's when Potende came in.
Okay.
So, so what happened then was, obviously when you got married, so we had to play, and the club looked at, okay, we're looking.
Celebrate too much.
Xelemine and William.
Sure.
And at that time, the club said, hey, I remember in the week, said, hey, call your mom. Tomorrow we have a meeting with your mom, you must come to the office. So I went to the office with my mom, assigned for the first team.
Sure.
And yeah, so that was my lucky break.
Sure.
But at the time, so I'll tell you even how I got to the first team. And all of this, I got to know about them late in my life. And just when, just before Bra Ace Nzoleng passed on, I got to know that he was the one that went to Chincha and said, I got a future goalkeeper for you.
Sure.
When I was with the juniors.
Sure.
When he first saw me at 16 and said now, and then they started playing me in the under 19s and the reserve team, and that's how he got me to go train from. So the season then was January to December.
Okay.
And so that's how I got signed. And then learnings from that for me was when I decided to get married, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put the date, but if I put the date, if Siadlala, geez,
Sure.
so I did the same. I went to the club. So when I get married,
Sure.
So on the day I got married, we were playing.
So this day when this picture is taken, the team was playing.
The team was playing.
So you didn't go to play?
Yeah, I went to my Mafikeng. I went to get married. My friends, Tabo Moki, Doctor, Bobby, and Steve Compella. Steve was the assistant coach. Straight after the game, they drove to my Mafikeng, to my wedding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ah, man. That's a lovely story.
Yeah. The best decision I made. She was so nervous. And at the time, now, I was not thinking. When I think back, I was like, geez, we were young. She was young.
Sure.
And so we had to. So now the problem was we had to tell her parents. And looked at. So she was like, she was nervous. She was, nah, my dad is going to kill me.
Sure.
No. So she told her mom. The mom came down, spoke to us, had a meeting with us, said, you guys are sure. Yeah, no, we are. And so we had to hide for a couple of months from the dad. So when she went home, she had to take off the ring. I feel. Then I had to go first to be introduced formally to the dad.
Sure.
Dad was like, this one. You know, yeah, but then got married 2 years later.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, I've got stories. I mean, I remember the next day, the Sunday, because it was a Saturday, the Sunday, I had to go to Sun City and leave them. And they were still having a party. Back then, you remember that the trailer you can.
Sure.
So I had 2 trailers as a SAB. Drove them to where they were at the hotel. At the hotel where they were. I said, Bobby, Doc, here's your alcohol and Zonbon. I'm going to Sun City. I left them there. The next day, they were driving back to Joburg. Bobby and Steve Bangemoto.
You.
No, it was not. It was Doc. Who was in the car in the accident? It was Doc. It was Doc. It was Steve and Bobby. Yeah, Doc I think was following them behind.
Okay.
But Bobby and Steve, they always remind me when we're together. They always tell the story. The van, You know those Mitsubishi double cabs?
Yes.
They started to go again. Bobby had bought one. So it capsized and it went into a farm.
Ooh.
On a maize farm.
Sure.
So when
But they were okay though.
Yeah, they were okay. They were fine. But I remember when they came out of the Steve was saying to Lona, "Emana, unjisa poni isa peu."
Okay, you're going to plastic.
Unjisa poni isa peu. Yeah, but yeah.
You know, you mentioned the name a lot of times right now. That's Tiki Tiki. And I'm starting to think maybe you and Tiki Tiki were quite close back in the day. What's the relationship between you and Tiki Tiki, and how was it like playing with a player like with Tiki Tiki and Kaizer Chiefs?
Jeez, yeah, special player. Special player, special human being as well. Extremely intelligent, and which many people don't know, but extremely intelligent and down to earth, and yeah, and that's why you don't see him all over around. He likes to keep a very low profile. Yeah, but then he's got that thing again that wants to come out to, have fun.
Sure.
I know a lot of people, ever since he's retired, now when they see him a lot of times
In his moves, in his vibes.
where he's having fun.
Sure.
In a cycle sometimes with about Derek and stuff. But he's extremely private person, extremely. But when I say extremely intelligent, I mean yeah, and yeah, a brother. I met a lot of people through him.
Sure.
From back in the day till today that that I learned a lot from. Yeah, and I mean over the years and stuff. I think my move to Sundowns was the one that that broke our relationship. Yeah.
You feel like umhethile because
yeah.
It was a business thing.
Yeah, because at the time, like I said, we were very close, and when it happened, I'd never told him, and I guess to a degree he felt betrayed, and that never, but later on he understood my side, and he understood it's something that I had to do.
Sure.
To a point where I tried to get him to
Sundowns.
Yeah, man. Geez, my time at Sundowns, and especially that time, my first 2-3 years, I had access to a president like nothing, so to a point where I was the one helping to bring a lot of players to Sundowns.
Sure.
A lot of them that came, Bokanamea, Omendu, a lot that said no, but that were close to, from Tsiki Tsiki to Cyril Nzama.
You almost bankrupt Chiefs.
They need Chiefs at the time. But at the time, I understood what the president had said to me. He said, I want to build this club. This is my dream. And right now, you and the players I'm bringing now, I want to build the team around you.
Sure.
And he said, help me to build the team.
Who made you think like a businessman at the early age?
I've always said my two biggest role models, and people have always modeled myself around, has always been Chincha Guluva and and Jomosono. And I could relate because I look at them as business people and as footballers. I mean, there's a lot of players that today that we can put in their thing as players in that basket. From Dr. Kumalo to the Lucas Khadebes, to the shoes of this, of this world, to the Benny McCarthy's, the Tiko Modises, but all of those, they can't touch these two when it comes to transitioning from a footballer to business.
Sure.
Kaiser Mdawe was 26 years old when he started Kaiser Chiefs.
Sure. That's crazy.
26.
It's a crazy thought. It's a crazy thought. It's a really crazy thought that a 26-year-old could build something that is going to live beyond his years.
When you look at today, the monster that Chiefs is, when you look at Jomo, what Jomo had been able to build. But for me, I'm saying, again, there's two as well. There's a lot that we can study and learn, the good and the bad.
Sure.
There's a lot of good and a lot of bad.
Sure.
I look at Brajay, I think he's built arguably two of the biggest brands of our times. The Jomosono brand and the Cosmos brand. Where the Jomosono brand, I mean, till today, when you talk to anyone that has played football, when you ask people their favorite boots,
Puma.
Jomosono Puma.
King.
Jomosono King. And then you look at the Cosmos brand. But unfortunately for me, the same person that has built these two brands is the one who's killing them. I think these brands should be able to live beyond his days. But I think sometimes holding on too much, and for me, and then that's where I'm saying there's a lot to study, and scholars and people that do research and do what they call this at university, what do they call it, the thesis or whatever, they could do with these brands, and including the Chiefs brand.
Sure.
And for me, then I look at it, I say, then let's look at it as a business. Forget that it's a football brand. Look at it as a business, and look at what is our problem as black folk when it comes to business.
Sure.
Our biggest mistake and our biggest problem is building generational businesses.
Things that outlive us.
We build businesses that are just around us, and then our seed or our kids, we don't raise them to understand that this brand, your duty is to take it to the next generation. The same way that the Oppenheimers are doing, the Ruperts, these are businesses that are second, third generation businesses.
Sure. And continuing to grow
Continuing to grow. The Maponya Empire. So these are things that we need to look at. And I'm saying it's not too late. And I don't want Brajay and Chincha to look at this and look at it as a criticism.
Yeah.
But for me, I look at it, it's motivation. It's things that motivate me, that make me wake up every day, that there's these two giants that have built this, that these are things that make me believe that I can build something big.
That's what you've seen them being able to
as
do.
a black man in South Africa. These are two giants that have built this institution deep in apartheid.
Sure.
So if they have done it in apartheid, what's stopping us from doing it today?
In a democratic country, yeah.
You know, yeah.
You know, Spider, time is not on our side.
Oh.
And we've got so much more to talk about beyond these two pictures that are left here. Beyond just these two pictures that are left here. Let's round up these two pictures real quick.
I talk too much. I know. So for me is that a lot of people know me as very reserved and stuff. Don't give me a mic. don't give me a mic.
Go
You
speak.
give me a platform. Hey,
Sure.
Yeah. So this year, damn. This is in Hungary.
Yeah.
This stadium here, this club here is called FC Fradi.
Sure.
And when I visited,
Varos.
when I visited this club here, this club at the time they were 137 years old.
Sure.
And I was on a journey here of doing research. Just a year or two before this, I had visited Madrid. Part of my research on clubs that are 100 years plus.
Sure.
But how are they doing it? How are they structured? And looking at why can't we do it here in South Africa? So I had a good time there, and a lot of learnings that I got from there. And I mean, today, if you look at all of us, if you go to the townships where we grew up, the club that you played for, does it still exist?
Bloemfontein Celtic.
So when you started playing, how old were you?
When I started playing school football.
Yeah.
I was 7.
Yeah.
I started off as a centre back at Glen Hazel Primary School in the east.
Okay. And then club football there.
Club football, I only started because after I left Glen Hazel, I moved to this area up the road. I went to a rugby school.
Okay. Yeah. And then when a club you played for was from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, still exist?
No.
No. Same here. Why don't they exist? Because these clubs are owned by a natural person. The club that you played for, we were talking about, Randbeck.
Sure.
Does it still exist?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Club I played for, Balfour Park, still exists.
Sure.
That's the only club that still exists that I played for as a young man. And because these clubs are not owned by a person, they're owned by a community.
Sure.
And until we change the model of ownership in South Africa, and all these models can coexist, but the model that is sustainable from the research I did is that you can't be part of something that is owned by a person, because this person tomorrow decides, hey, this club is taking too much of my money, I don't want it anymore. They sell it. Then someone buys it and then he moves it to Mgungundlov.
Sure.
Changes the name.
Last picture.
Damn. Jeez, so many memories about this, and you know, family in this picture, including friends that I can call family. So this picture here, this was the launch of my restaurant. This is when we opened Capelo's New Town.
Okay.
Capel.
Yeah, Capelo.
We're busy saying News Cafe, yes.
It was a news cafe in
Capelo.
Is it Auckland Park?
You were saying that, yeah.
New Town.
Yeah, I thought it was news cafe, you know.
Yeah, and we Capelos.
Okay.
Yeah, Benin Cloper. These young men, they used to come there and have fun, but then they would fight. Yeah, so here, I mean, Peter Ndlovu, brother, when he came to Sundowns, we came, Lucas, her brother as well. Our wives grew up together.
Sure.
His late wife, she's from Mafike, so grew up with my wife in Mafike.
Okay.
And
Small world.
Small world. And Bob Mabena. So how I got to buy this restaurant was, he tricked me actually.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah. So I was talking to this. So there was a Capello's here in Bryanston at a dealership called Investment Cars.
Sure.
So that's the one I was buying. And they said to me, hey, Bob is building the one in Newtown. I said, no, I'm not interested. I want this one.
Sure.
And paid for it. And they said, no, Bob wants to speak to you. And he says, we're family. I said, no. We're not family. I know him, we're friends. He's friends with Doc.
Sure.
But no. So he called Doc, wanted my number. He calls Doc, says, hey. Then he calls me, Emra. Baloyi, we need to speak. I said, no. So we meet. When we meet, he comes with his uncle. So this is his uncle.
Okay.
Comes with his uncle. Says, Emra, I'm a Baloyi. So that's how he convinced me. Yeah. So we started talking. So I found out, he grew up. He was brought up by his family, mom's family side.
Sure, the
so
Baloyi
his dad
side.
is a Baloyi.
Okay.
So we start talking. Say, no, we cousins. Say, okay. Says, no, cousin, we're going to do business together.
And that was it.
But then where we meeting, at that building, they had Kaya FM on top of that building.
Okay.
And he was at Kaya at the time.
Okay.
So, so it was an easy sale.
Sure.
Said, look, students here,
Sure.
market theater, Rapayana.
Sure.
Then
It's a great spot.
And it was a gift and a kiss. This, so when I got to Sundowns, I signed 3 years.
Yeah.
End of my 3rd year, my contract finishes. I'm owning the restaurant. The management now tell the boss that I don't want to play anymore. I'm a businessman.
How?
I'm like, what?
More.
Hey man. And meeting with the boss and everyone, they say, yeah, no, you own Capello's, you're busy there. I'm like, have I ever missed training? No. So what's the problem with me? Then I say, boss, one of the reasons I told you when I came to Sundowns was I'm coming here to play and for the dream, but I come here to learn from you. I want to be a businessman too.
Sure.
And now I'm trying to look after myself when I stop. So what's the problem there? So they ended up saying no. So the reason I spent 7 years there was that after my 3 years. So in that meeting then, it was that we had to sign 1 year.
Okay.
And 1 year was more like a trial to see if I'm really
Still wanting to play, sure. How?
Yeah. So that season I played with such a inclusive crew. I played and I became one of the best players in that season.
Sure.
And end of the season, that not many people know, I almost went to Pirates.
The club you support.
Floyd was here because he knew my contract. Floyd was here. And
That's so Jabu like you.
but at that time, I had this thing that I didn't want, even leaving Chiefs was never really what I wanted. I was, pushed. But then, there again, I was like, I don't want to go now, start again, build a relationship and all of this. So I thought, let me try and fix
things at Sundowns, yeah.
So straight after that, so when they came with the contract, I came with another 3 years. But I was angry, but I said, okay, they gave me double of what I was.
What's
I
up,
said,
money?
But
Ibhokisi noma imali.
Ibhokisi
but again, in that time, I had to sit with the boss and be assured that when I stop, one of the biggest things, I was bold. And in my meetings with him and management, he knew that when I stopped, I wanted to be the CEO of Sundowns.
Oh.
And to a point where from a year before I retired, I was sitting on board meetings at Sundowns. I was sitting management meetings.
Okay.
And I was sitting on board meetings.
Sure.
whilst I
No,
was still
man.
playing.
No, man. Brian, we need to.
Yeah, and that's why I say, I appreciate and cherish every moment I spent at Sundowns, because I learned a lot, not only as a footballer but as a person, you know, and it helped me to grow. I learned so much.
Sure.
And the boss gave me freedom to express myself. Yeah.
Nah.
Spider opportunity.
Yeah, not everyone gets that opportunity.
Everyone gets the opportunity.
And I must say,
with the chairman.
Sure. Now we've learned a lot from you, Spider, today. Like I said, there's so much more that we would have loved to talk about. If you just give us, the opportunity to have a part 2, you know, if we could just have an opportunity, I think there's a lot more to discuss around your career and all the things you've done off the field. But for now, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I know. Now we learned a lot.
Oh, thank you.
No, thank you for your time. Keep on doing it. Yes. Subscribe, likes, comment, everything.
Voila.